Hello and welcome back to Mock Draft Monday. What is going on? I'm Matt O'Leary. Usually we do a New York Jets 7-round mock draft. Today we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to do a full first round mock draft for every team, all 32 picks, including the New York Jets. This will be a predictive mock draft, not necessarily what I would do, but what I think would be most likely to happen in the NFL draft. All right, so without further ado, let's hop into this. We're not going to do trades. That's too complicated for this. So we're just going to kind of roll through and make the picks the best that we can. Okay, so let's start the draft. I think, my opinion, Cam Ward is the obvious selection for the Tennessee Titans. They don't have an answer at the quarterback spot. Will Levis isn't very good. Cam Ward is potentially good. They're going to have to take a flyer on it. Pick number 2. I'm between two guys here. It is Abdul Carter, edge rusher, or if they go with the quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, is a really tough call. I'm going to go Abdul Carter, and they just have an absolutely ridiculous edge rush duo of Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett, but they absolutely, I think, are in play for quarterback. This has been one of the worst kept secrets in the NFL. The New York Giants love themselves some Shedeur Sanders. Joe Shane himself, so the Giants GM, was going to Colorado practices during the season, not, scouting games, practices during the season. Both Shedeur and Dion have talked about wanting to go to New York. I think it happens, and I think they take him 3rd overall. Okay, do the Pats take Travis Hunter, or do they try to fix their offensive line? I think they're going to go not the flashy pick and take Will Campbell to try to fix their offensive line. It's still a work in progress, which that leaves Travis Hunter sitting there for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They could use help, honestly, on both sides of the ball, and Travis Hunter provides just that. Really unique player, interesting player. He comes off the board at number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, number 6 for the Vegas Raiders. Between two players, Ashton Jeanty and Mason Graham. Jeanty is definitely more flashy, but I think Pete Carroll comes in here and is just trying to build this thing out the right way and is going to take a high floor player in Mason Graham. So, Jets on the clock. They have some of my favorite options available. Ted McMillan, Tyler Warren, Armand Membu. Again, this is a predictive mock draft. So I'm going to have the Jets take Armand Membu. I think if you ask me today who the most likely player is, it would be that. I would love to draft Tyler Warren. There will be plenty more mock drafts in the next month before we get to the NFL draft, and I'm sure I'll take Tyler Warren a few more times. But in this mock draft scenario, the Jets will finish out their offensive line. We heard from the Jets general manager yesterday. He has confirmed that Elijah Vera Tucker will be staying at guard. So right tackle is a really big need. So Armand Membu is going to be the pick at number 7. Ted McMillan follows right off the board. The Carolina Panthers need help at wide receiver, and they need to see if Bryce Young's the answer or not this year. He finished his second season much stronger than how it started, so they need to get him some help. Okay, New Orleans Saints. Does Jeanty go here? I'm going to say no. I think I'm going to go corner Will Johnson out of Michigan here. They could use some help. This is just a poor roster, unfortunately. I think they go Will Johnson. Here's where I'll have Jeanty come off the board. You have a young quarterback. Try to get him as many weapons as possible. Caleb Williams. And they have, a decent amount of picks in this draft as well. It's only gonna show me this year's the first round, but they could afford to take a guy like Ashton Jeanty because it is a really big need for them. Okay, so I'm gonna have the San Francisco 49ers do something that just makes a lot of sense because of who is back for them. So Robert Saleh is back as the defensive coordinator. And to me, I think the guy that fits the bill of what Robert Saleh really looks for on his defense, I think Shamar Stewart's the pick. Is it a little bit of a reach? Maybe. You can make that case. We talked about him for the Jets even a little bit. He's just an absolute freak athlete. Kind of will remind me of the Will McDonald pick when the Jets took Will McDonald 15, and everyone was like, that's kind of early for Will McDonald. I think we're going to get a similar selection for Robert Saleh's defense now that he's back in San Francisco, and they go, crazy athletic edge rusher who maybe goes a little bit early. That checks out so many boxes. Okay, so the Dallas Cowboys on the board here. I'm going to have them go with Matthew Golden, the speedster out of Texas. Texas kid stays in Dallas, Texas. They need wide receiver help beyond, obviously they have a stud wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb, but they need help beyond that. I think Matthew Golden would be in play here. All right. For the Miami Dolphins, they need offensive line help. They also need interior defensive line help. We're going to go back-to-back Texas players. Kelvin Banks is going to come off the board here to the Miami Dolphins. He could play. He might move inside to guard early on in his career, but just a solid football player. Okay, this is where Tyler Warren goes. I think the Colts make a ton of sense. Tight end is a massive need for that team. No other notes. Good football player, goes 14th overall. Linebacker seems like the pick here. They really need help at the position. Jada Campbell is available. New linebacker coach is back from the New York Jets. He was the defensive coordinator, then turned interim head coach. Jeff Ulbrich. He is back with the Atlanta Falcons. So he's going to take a linebacker or advocate for taking a linebacker. And I think they listen because it is a really big position of need as well. Okay. For the Arizona Cardinals, I'm thinking a corner goes off the board here. Back to the Texas kids. Jahdae Barron is going to come off at this point here to Arizona. Cincinnati, they spent a lot of resources on the offensive side of the ball. I think they take a defensive player here. I'm going to go Malachi Starks on the back end of this defense as the pick. Seattle Seahawks, they could use a decent amount of help here. They really could. They have an edge could be in play. Offensive line could potentially be in play here. I'm going to go okay, yeah, I'm going to go with edge rusher Mike Green in this spot. I think that makes the most sense for the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, keeping this thing rolling. I'm going to have Jalen Walker go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kind of linebacker edge hybrid. I could see Todd Bowles liking a player like that. I really could. All right, let's take Jalen Walker, 19th overall. This is where I think we see the second tight end come off the board. So we're going to see Colston Loveland go to the Broncos at pick number 20. They need tight end. I think, help Bo Nix out seems like a no-brainer. I really like Kenneth Grant to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He just screams Pittsburgh Steeler to me. Maybe wide receivers in play, but I could just this one seems again like a no-brainer in my own personal opinion. Kenneth Grant to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, wide receiver I think would absolutely be in play for the Chargers. Best wide receiver available, in my opinion, is Emeka Egbuka coming off the board. Yeah, the Michigan guy drafts an Ohio State guy, but they need players. Okay, Green Bay Packers. What do the Green Bay Packers do? Do they go wide receiver? Do they go corner? Do they go offensive line? I'm going to say that they decide to go with an edge rusher in James Pierce Jr. help out that defensive side of the ball. Okay, we're going to get a second running back go in the first round. Minnesota is trying to help out their young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. Omarion Hampton comes off the board from North Carolina here. It's between wide receiver and offensive line, and I'm going to go offensive line. After all the moves they've made this offseason for the Houston Texans, Josh Simmons comes off the board to Houston. Okay, the Rams are on the clock. This feels like a pick that's going to get linked to the Rams a ton. Josh Connerly Jr. I think he's an underrated player in this draft. His rank is 34th overall. His ADP is 36.7. This is a little early based on that, but just a damn solid football player. I think immediately starts for them and is very good. Okay, let's go to the Baltimore Ravens. Them landing Michael Williams just makes so much sense, doesn't it? Like they just find a really good edge rusher who's still sitting around there for them at 27. That makes sense. Let's do it. As for the Detroit Lions, I'm going to go with Zabel out of North Dakota State. Can play tackle, could play guard. I think probably most likely to move inside to guard. They have such an emphasis on their offensive line. I think this is something that we could absolutely see happen on draft night. Them go with a versatile offensive lineman. Washington. This is another tough one. There's a couple different routes that they could end up going here. Running back, guard, edge, all positions of need. I'm going to have the Boston College edge come off the board here. Okay, Buffalo Bills. Honestly, I think they could, I know it's not listed as one of their 3 needs here from PFF, but I think this is an interior defensive line spot. I think they absolutely just want to beef up that defensive line because we've seen this defense unfortunately come up short in the playoffs year after year after year. I think that's the side of the ball that they put the emphasis on at this point. To the Kansas City Chiefs, this might look like a little bit of a reach. I don't view it that way. Arante Ursary immediately comes in and plays the right tackle, and I think is solid. It's really between him and Donovan Jackson, but I think Ursary sneaks his way into the first round. And then closing us out here at pick number 32, get another good player, interior defensive lineman Derek Harmon. I know it feels like they have that position filled, but the Philadelphia Eagles, something they do so well is they just stack up incredible depth on both sides of the ball on the offense and defensive line. I think that's what we see happen here. So this, give it a second to load. We'll take one final look at my mock draft. You let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.